You've been walking through life day by day, feeling the weight of it all, wondering why things are happening the way they are. You've been looking for answers, searching for clarity, and yet it feels like the world is silent. You've been through storms, faced opposition, and encountered moments when the ground beneath your feet was shaking. You're asking questions, wondering if anyone is listening. And I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. You see, there is something happening right now. It's a stirring. It's a shift. It's an unmistakable pull. It's the kind of force that can't be explained by logic, nor can it be measured by human understanding, but it's there. You may not see it with your physical eyes, but there is something in the atmosphere, something that is reaching for you. It's been knocking on the door of your spirit, whispering in your heart. And if you're quiet enough, if you can just sit still long enough, you'll realize something is speaking to you. I know you've had your moments of doubt, the battles that seem like they never end, the challenges that keep coming. And you've been wondering why. You've been thinking, if I'm on the right path, why am I facing all of this? You've been asking, is this the life I'm supposed to live? Is this the destiny I was made for? But I want to tell you today that you are not here by accident. There's a reason you've made it this far, and I don't care how long you've been struggling or how many setbacks you've had. There is purpose in your pain. Every trial you've faced, every mountain you've climbed, and every valley you've walked through has been a step towards something greater. There is something waiting for you just beyond the horizon. Now, I know that doesn't always make sense. We're often conditioned to believe that the path to greatness is smooth, that the road to success is paved with gold. But let me tell you, greatness doesn't come easy. Strength doesn't come without resistance, and purpose doesn't show up without a fight. But that's when you've got to learn to listen. Because even in the midst of your struggle, there is a voice speaking. A voice that will guide you through your darkest hour. You've been trying to figure it all out on your own. You've been depending on your own understanding, leaning on your own knowledge, and trusting in your own plans. But there's a greater wisdom than your own. There's a direction that's been waiting for you to acknowledge it. And it's time. It's time for you to recognize that you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. There's a force, a presence that is working things out for you even when you can't see it. You see, when the storms come, when the winds blow and the rain falls, it's easy to get discouraged. But what if I told you that those storms weren't sent to destroy you? What if I told you that those winds are there to prepare you, to shape you, to get you ready for what's ahead? There's a voice in the storm, and it's calling you to step up. Wallace Dekos, Audo, it's calling you to trust. It's calling you to rise above the noise of the world and to listen to something deeper, something that transcends your circumstances. You've been searching for signs, haven't you? Looking for something to prove that you're on the right path. Waiting for a miracle to show up in your life. And I'm here to tell you that the miracle isn't necessarily going to come the way you expect it. It might not show up in the form of a burning bush or a loud clap of thunder. It may not come as a booming voice from the heavens. But it's there. It's in the whisper. It's in the stillness. It's in the peace that passes all understanding. It's in that moment when you stop and listen. The world is so loud, so chaotic, that it's easy to drown out the whispers. It's easy to get distracted by the noise. But if you would just take a moment to pause, to get quiet, you'd hear it. The voice is there, waiting for you to tune in, waiting for you to acknowledge that you don't have to have it all figured out, that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your own shoulders, that you don't have to solve all the problems by yourself. There's a wisdom, a guidance, that's been available to you the entire time. Some of you have been looking for direction, searching for the next step, wondering what you're supposed to do. But let me tell you something. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't need the whole blueprint. You don't need to know how everything will work out. What you need to do is trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Even in the midst of uncertainty, the answers will come. The doors will open, the way will be made clear, but first you've got to listen. There's a deeper calling. There's something that has been speaking to your heart in ways you can't explain. And I know you've heard it. I know you've felt it even when you were too afraid to acknowledge it. But today, I want to encourage you to lean into that voice. Don't turn away from it. Don't ignore it. Let your soul respond. When your carrier calls you, even the way to and from the city to the town, from your cell to your family, because that voice is leading you somewhere. That voice is taking you to a place you've never been before, a place of healing, a place of breakthrough, a place of freedom. You've been stuck for too long, wandering in circles, feeling like you're not moving forward. But hear me when I say this. You are closer than you think. You are on the verge of a breakthrough. You are right at the edge of something magnificent, but you've got to listen. You've got to be still long enough to hear it. The answer is not in the noise. The answer is in the quiet. The answer is in the space between the chaos. You've got to quiet your mind, quiet your soul, and allow yourself to receive the wisdom that's been waiting for you. There's a season coming into your life when the doors that have been closed will open wide. There's a season of release, a season of restoration. But you've got to be ready. You've got to be prepared. You've got to be willing to hear the call and step forward when it comes. Don't miss it because you're too busy looking at the problems, too busy focusing on what's not working, too busy worrying about what you don't have. The answer is not in your lack. The answer is in the abundance of what you've already been given. The answer is in the power you already possess. I'm speaking to you today because you've been in a place of uncertainty, a place where you felt like you're just going through the motions. But let me tell you, your time is coming. Your season of silence is about to end, and a new chapter is about to unfold. I know you've been waiting for a sign, waiting for a breakthrough, but I want you to understand something. The sign is already here. The breakthrough is already on its way. You've just got to be in position to receive it. So take a moment, breathe, relax, release the stress, release the fear, and open your heart to receive what's been waiting for you. The message is clear, the path is set, and the only thing left to do is follow it. Even in the midst of life's chaos, there is a force, a voice that is quietly guiding you toward your purpose. You must listen carefully to the stillness and be open to receiving its direction. The challenges and struggles you face are not meant to destroy you, but to shape and prepare you for greater things. Every trial is part of the journey toward your destiny. You don't need to have all the answers right now. Trust that you are where you are supposed to be and that the answers and opportunities will come in their own time. It's important to trust the process, even in times of uncertainty. A breakthrough is closer than you think. It's not a matter of if, but of being ready to step into it. Quiet your mind, release fear, and be open to receiving the opportunities and answers that are already on their way. Listening to a deeper call, embracing adversity, trusting the timing, and being ready for the breakthrough ahead. Matthew, after you've been walking through life, facing the ups and downs, the twists and turns, and somewhere along the way, you started to feel like you're just going through the motions. You've been caught in the grind, trying to make sense of it all, asking questions and wondering why things are happening the way they are. You've been trying to understand the signs and figure out your next move, and in the midst of it all, there's a lingering question on your mind. What am I missing? I want you to know that there is something happening right now, something you might not fully grasp, but it's real and it's there. There's a presence, a voice, a force that's been gently moving in your life, guiding you, shaping you, leading you to places you never imagined. Maybe you haven't recognized it yet, but it's been speaking to you every step of the way. You might not hear it with your ears or see it with your eyes, but trust me when I tell you, it is speaking to you. Sometimes we get so caught up in the hustle of life, the constant noise of responsibilities and the weight of our daily struggles, that we forget how to listen. We fill our days with distractions and allow the worries of tomorrow to cloud our judgment today. We look for answers in the wrong places, searching for the extraordinary when the extraordinary is already happening around us. We ignore the whispers and signs that are trying to get our attention. In God, but let me remind you, you are not alone. There is a voice, one that has been calling to you all along, one that has been gently nudging you forward. It's not the loud, brash voice of the world shouting over the noise of your thoughts. No, this voice is different. It's the voice of wisdom, of guidance, of something greater than yourself, something that knows you better than you know yourself. And it's been waiting for you to recognize it. Maybe in your most quiet moments, you've felt it. Maybe in your times of solitude, you've heard that still small whisper, a quiet prompting in your heart that says, don't give up yet. Maybe you've had a moment of clarity when everything seemed to fall into place, even for just a brief second, and you knew without a doubt that this was the direction you needed to go. That's the guiding presence I'm talking about. It's not something you have to chase after, but something that is already within you, speaking into your spirit. The challenge isn't about finding this voice. The challenge is in slowing down enough to hear it. Now, I know that sounds easier said than done. Life has a way of keeping us on our toes, pulling us in every direction, making us feel like we have to keep moving, keep striving. There's always a deadline to meet, a goal to reach, a problem to solve, and in the process, we can easily miss the subtle messages that are being sent our way. But I want to tell you this, you are not meant to figure everything out on your own. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. There is something, or rather someone, who has been walking beside you, helping you, guiding you, and all you need to do is stop and listen. In the middle of your toughest seasons, when the weight of the world feels too heavy to bear, there's a quiet knowing inside of you. It's that feeling when you don't know how everything is going to work out, but you somehow know that it will. It's a sense of peace in the midst of chaos, a calm that transcends understanding. That is the guiding presence, whispering to your soul, telling you that there's a plan for your life, even when the road ahead looks uncertain. It's important to recognize that this voice doesn't always come in the way you expect. We're often conditioned to look for signs in the grand, the dramatic, the extraordinary. We expect lightning to strike. We wait for something big, something unmistakable. But what if I told you that the signs are already there, right in front of you, hidden in the ordinary moments? What if I told you that the guiding presence speaks through the quiet moments, through the subtle nudges, through the opportunities that seem small but carry tremendous significance? Sometimes this voice comes as a thought, an idea that enters your mind when you least expect it. Other times it's a feeling, a gut instinct that says, this is the right choice, or don't go that way. You might dismiss it at first, thinking it's just your imagination or wishful thinking, but let me tell you, it's more than that. This is the guidance that has been with you from the beginning, and it knows what you need before you even ask for it. How many times have you made a decision, whether big or small, and afterwards you've realized it was the perfect choice? How many times have you been led in a direction, and as you look back, you can see how all the pieces fit together perfectly, even though you couldn't see it at the time? That's the guiding presence at work. It's not about seeing the whole picture right away. It's about trusting that there's a bigger plan, a purpose that will unfold step by step as you move forward in faith. You might ask, well, how can I be sure it's the right voice? How do I know if I'm really hearing it or if I'm just making things up in my own mind? I understand the doubt. I understand the uncertainty. The world can be loud, and our own voices can be even louder, clouding our judgment and filling us with confusion. But here's the thing, when this guiding presence speaks, it doesn't force itself on you. It doesn't shout. It doesn't push you into something you're not ready for. It is gentle, it is peaceful, and it is patient. And here's another key point. This voice is never going to lead you into destruction. It will never lead you away from peace or into harmful situations. It will always point you toward growth, toward healing, toward truth. It will never contradict the essence of who you are at your core, the very purpose you were created for. If the voice you're hearing is pushing you into fear, anxiety, or confusion, that's not the guiding presence I'm talking about. The real guidance will always give you clarity, even if it takes time for you to understand it. It will provide you with a deep sense of calm in the midst of uncertainty. It will push you to grow, to expand, to become the best version of yourself. Now, I know you may have heard this before, but it bears repeating. You have to learn to trust it. This isn't just about hearing the voice, it's about trusting that it knows the way. When you hear that still small whisper in your heart, even if you don't understand the full picture, trust it. When you feel that gut instinct nudging you to take a chance, trust it. When that peace settles in your spirit, even in the midst of the storm, trust it. It's easy to doubt, isn't it? We want to see everything clearly. We want to know exactly where we're going and how we're going to get there. We want a roadmap, a guarantee that everything will turn out just the way we want it. But that's not how this works. The guiding presence doesn't show you the whole road at once. It shows you one step at a time, and each step, though it may seem small, is significant. You've walked through pain. You've stumbled through hardship. You've cried out in the dark, questioning why things seem to go wrong, why life feels like it's pulling you in 1,000 different directions, always pushing you farther than you thought you could go. You've been at your breaking point, thinking that you couldn't take one more step, and yet somehow you made it through. Somehow you're still standing. You might not see it yet, but there's purpose in every trial you've faced, and there's power in the adversity you've endured. The thing about pain, about struggle, is that it's not just random. It's not some cruel twist of fate or some cosmic joke meant to tear you down. No, there is a deeper meaning to it. It's easy to think that the hard times are just a test, that they're sent to challenge you, but they are so much more than that. The adversity in your life is the very thing that is shaping you. It's molding you into something more, something greater than you could have ever imagined. Your purpose is being forged in the fire of your struggle. I know it's hard to see that when you're in the middle of the storm. It's difficult to understand why things aren't going according to plan when you've worked so hard, when you've given everything you have. You might find yourself saying, "Why me? Why does it feel like I'm always battling something? Why does it seem like my dreams are just out of reach?" In those moments, it's easy to feel defeated, to feel like you're not moving forward. But I want you to hear this. What you're going through is not without purpose. When we talk about adversity, we often think of it as a negative thing. We think of hardship as a setback, as something that delays us, stops us, or even destroys us. But adversity is not meant to destroy you, it's meant to transform you. You've got to understand that pain is a part of the process. Every trial you've gone through, every difficulty you've faced has been a step towards something greater. It's not just about surviving the storm, it's about allowing the storm to teach you something. And when you come out on the other side, you'll realize that the very adversity that tried to break you is the thing that built you. The truth is, purpose is often found when we're at our lowest point, when we're stretched beyond what we thought we could handle. It's easy to find joy and gratitude when things are going well, when life is smooth, when the road ahead seems clear. But it's in the hardest seasons, the darkest moments, that purpose begins to emerge. That's when you truly start to see who you are. That's when the real strength inside of you begins to rise to the surface. You don't know what you're made of until you're put to the test. You don't discover your true resilience until the world tries to knock you down and you get back up again and again. And when you look at the story of your life, when you take a step back and reflect on the journey, you'll start to see how adversity has shaped you. It's easy to focus on what you lost, on what didn't work out the way you wanted it to. But if you really look closely, you'll see how much you've gained. You've gained wisdom. You've gained strength. You've gained perspective. You've gained the ability to persevere, to keep going, even when everything around you seems uncertain. This is the power of adversity. It refines you. It strips away what's unnecessary. It challenges you to grow, to stretch, to reach beyond your limits. And in that process, you discover your true capacity. You begin to realize that you are capable of so much more than you thought. You're stronger than you knew. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable no longer hold the same power over you. The more you face, the more you overcome, the more you grow. And with each step, you get closer to the person you were always meant to be. But it's not just about growth for the sake of growth. Adversity brings purpose because it reveals something deeper. It reveals what you're truly made for. Every setback, every failure, every challenge is part of a bigger picture. It's part of the unfolding of your life's mission. You see, the obstacles you face today are not obstacles in the traditional sense. They are stepping stones, guiding you toward the purpose you are called to fulfill. There is a reason for the struggle, a reason for the pain. And when you look back on your journey, you'll see that each moment of adversity has brought you closer to fulfilling that purpose. Think about the people you admire the most. Think about those who inspire you, who've made a significant impact on the world. I can guarantee you one thing: they didn't get there by avoiding hardship. They didn't get to the place of greatness without facing opposition. They didn't find their calling by staying in their comfort zones, avoiding the very struggles that would shape them into who they were meant to be. Greatness is born out of adversity. It's forged in the fire of challenge. And it's in those moments when you're tested, when you're pushed to your limit, that you find the strength to rise and to step into the purpose that's been waiting for you. There is a saying that goes, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." And while that may sound cliche to some, there is a truth in it. The things that challenge you the most, the things that seem impossible, the things that hurt the most, are often the very things that bring out your greatest potential. The hard moments are not the end of the story. They are part of the story's beginning. They are the chapters that lead you to the breakthrough. The things that seem like setbacks are often the most important steps in your journey. The difficulties are the lessons, the refinement, the preparation for what is to come. When you face adversity, you learn lessons that you would never have learned in any other way. You learn patience. You learn resilience. You learn to keep going when you feel like giving up. You learn to trust when you can't see the way forward. You learn that there's more inside of you than you ever realized. And as you continue to grow, you begin to see how those lessons are not just for you, but for others as well. Because the truth is, the purpose of your adversity is not just for your own benefit. It's also to prepare you to help others. Because in extreme, you live to serve, better makes serve someone better, and truly to serve signs, it can save the day. You see, when you make it through the storm, you become a beacon of hope. There are moments in life when we feel like we've been waiting forever. We wait for things to fall into place, for the right time to arrive, for the right opportunity to show up. We look around us and see others seemingly moving forward, achieving their dreams, hitting milestones, while we're stuck in a holding pattern. We question the timing of it all. Why does it seem like things aren't happening for us? Why does it feel like we're putting in the effort, but not seeing the results? And in those moments of doubt, we ask ourselves, when will it be my time? I want to speak to that very feeling, the feeling of waiting, the feeling of wondering if anything is going to change. There's something powerful about trusting the process and understanding that there is a timing to everything. The challenge isn't in the waiting. It's in what we choose to do while we're waiting. And while it's hard to accept at times, the truth is that the process is just as important as the destination. The timing isn't something that just happens by accident. There's a purpose to the wait. And it's not something we should rush through. The process is something that shapes you, molds you, and prepares you for what's ahead. The truth is that you may not fully understand why things are unfolding the way they are right now, but in time, you will. It's hard to see the bigger picture when we're in the middle of the process, especially when we feel like we're stagnant or stuck. But every moment you spend waiting, every challenge you face along the way is teaching you something. You are being equipped with everything you need for the next phase, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Think about how plants grow. There's a process that happens below the surface, long before you can see any signs of life. The seed is planted and then it begins to sprout. But this growth isn't visible right away. The roots must first take hold in the soil, finding their foundation before anything can rise above the surface. That's the process. It's the foundational work that's happening behind the scenes, unseen and unnoticed, but necessary for growth. If you were to dig up the seed before its roots were established, you would ruin the plant. If the process is rushed, the plant will never reach its full potential. The same is true for you. There are things happening in your life right now that you can't yet see. There are things being built beneath the surface, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, that are preparing you for what is to come. But just like the seed, you must trust the process. The waiting is not in vain. It may feel like nothing is happening, but I assure you that everything is happening, and it's happening at the perfect time. Trusting the process requires patience. We live in a world that values instant gratification, where we expect things to happen quickly and we want results right now. But real growth, real transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. And like any journey, there are times when the path feels long and uncertain. But the key is to trust that every step is taking you somewhere. The moments of frustration and doubt are a part of the process. They are shaping your character, teaching you lessons that you wouldn't learn if everything came easily. It's important to remind yourself that you don't have to have it all figured out. So often, we think that if we don't have everything planned down to the last detail, we're somehow failing. But the truth is that the process isn't always about having all the answers. It's about being willing to walk the path even when you don't know exactly where it will lead. Sometimes you just have to take one step at a time and trust that the next step will be revealed to you in due time. Timing is another crucial aspect of the process. Timing isn't something you can rush or control. We may have our timelines, our goals, and our ideas of when we think things should happen, but the truth is that timing is in the hands of something greater than ourselves. There's a reason that things don't always unfold the way we expect them to. Sometimes the timing isn't right. Sometimes we're not fully prepared for what's ahead. Sometimes the doors we're knocking on are not meant to open yet. But that doesn't mean we're being overlooked. It just means that there's something we need to learn or experience first. It's hard to accept that the timing isn't always in our control. It's easy to feel frustrated when things aren't happening on our terms. But the beauty of trusting the process is knowing that the right time will come. And when that time arrives, you'll realize why it didn't happen soon. You'll understand why everything fell into place at just the right moment. There are things happening in your life right now that are positioning you for what's to come. You may not see it in the moment, but it's all part of the plan. And let me tell you, when the right time does come, when the doors open, when the pieces fall into place, it will be worth the wait. The process has prepared you for what lies ahead. You will be ready because you trusted the journey. And when you're ready, when you've gone through the necessary steps, when you've learned the lessons and gained the wisdom, you will find that what you thought you wanted before is nothing compared to what you're about to step into. The key to trusting the process is surrendering. Surrendering your need to control everything. Surrendering your impatience and your fear of missing out. Surrendering your worries about the future. When you let go of the need to control every aspect of your life, you allow yourself the freedom to move with the flow of the process. You stop fighting against what is and start embracing the journey, trusting that every moment is unfolding exactly as it should. There will be times when you feel like you're not making progress, like you're stuck in the same place, like you're not moving forward at all. But remember, growth is not always visible. Just because you can't see the changes doesn't mean they're not happening. The seed doesn't instantly become a tree. There's time, there's nurture, there's patience. So when the progress doesn't seem visible, trust that it's happening beneath the surface. Trust that the lessons are being learned, that you are growing and becoming more prepared for what's to come. It's important to acknowledge that trusting the process doesn't mean sitting idly by and doing nothing. It means taking action in the right direction, even when you don't have all the answers. It means moving forward with what you have in the moment, doing the work, showing up, and staying committed to the journey. And while you take those steps, you are also learning patience, learning how to align your timing with the universe's. You're learning that things don't always happen on your timeline, but that doesn't make them any less valuable. Timing also brings opportunity. There's a time for everything. The right relationships, the right opportunities, the right seasons of growth. And sometimes what we need most is simply to wait for the right door to open, Too often we try to push through doors that aren't ready to open yet, or we get discouraged when the door we've been knocking on refuses to budge. But the truth is, the right door will open at the right time. When you trust the process, you trust that the right opportunities will come, and when they do, you'll be ready for them. You'll have the wisdom, the strength, the preparation, and the character to step through that door and take on whatever is waiting for you on the other side. So as you wait, as you navigate through the process, remember that the timing of your life is not a mistake. Trust the timing, trust the process, embrace the wait, and when the moment comes, when the opportunity presents itself, when the pieces fall into place, you'll understand that every step of the journey was necessary. Every waiting period, every setback, every challenge was part of a bigger plan leading you to where you need to be. Trust that in the end, it will all come together in the perfect timing. You've been waiting. You've been hoping, believing, praying, and even pushing yourself harder than you thought possible. You felt the weight of the journey on your shoulders. There have been times when it felt like nothing was happening, like you were stuck in a season of waiting that seemed endless, as if everything you hoped for was just out of reach. You've seen others step into their breakthrough, wondering when your time would come. I want you to hear this now, deep into your soul. The breakthrough is already on its way. It might not look like what you thought it would. It may not come when you expect it or in the package you imagined, but I want you to understand that the breakthrough is closer than you think. So often we are in the middle of the struggle, and it's easy to feel like we're never going to make it out, like the weight of the world is too much to bear, and the promise of a better tomorrow feels like a distant dream. But let me tell you, just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not happening. Breakthroughs don't always announce themselves with fanfare. They don't always come with a parade. Sometimes they show up quietly, in a moment of clarity or with a small decision that shifts everything. But make no mistake, it is on its way. When you're in the middle of a long season, it can be hard to hold on to hope. It can feel like you've been fighting battles, pouring out your energy, your heart, your soul, and you're still standing in the same place. But I want to remind you of something. The work you've been doing hasn't been in vain. Every struggle, every tear, every moment when you thought about giving up, those moments have been preparing you. They've been refining you. They've been setting the stage for the breakthrough that's about to arrive. You see, the reason that the breakthrough often feels so elusive is that it's coming in God's perfect timing. It's not based on your schedule or the timeline you've created in your mind. Breakthroughs don't follow our timeline. They come when we are ready to receive them. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How do I know that this breakthrough is really coming? How do I trust that what I've been waiting for is actually on its way? Here's the thing. Breakthrough is not about waiting for something outside of yourself to change. It's about preparing yourself to step into what's already available to you. And a breakthrough doesn't always happen in the way you think it will, but it's always available if you open yourself to it. The shift may begin in your mindset before it manifests in your circumstances. It starts with knowing deep down that the promise you've been waiting for is already in motion. The problem is that many times we get discouraged because we want the breakthrough now. We look around and see others achieving their dreams, stepping into their purpose, living their best lives, and we wonder why our breakthrough hasn't come yet. We think we've been patient enough, worked hard enough, prayed enough, but the timing still feels wrong. We think, is this ever going to happen for me? Am I being overlooked? Is this really going to happen? The answer is a resounding yes. It is happening. Even when you don't see it, it's happening. Even when it feels like everything is falling apart, things are coming together. The breakthrough is already in motion behind the scenes, and it's just a matter of time before it unfolds in your life. What you're waiting for has already been set in motion. It's like a seed that's been planted deep in the ground. You can't see it, but underneath the surface, it's growing, it's developing, it's getting ready to burst through the soil. When a seed is planted, it doesn't immediately sprout up into a tree. It's buried in the soil, seemingly invisible for a period of time. During that time, there's growth happening beneath the surface, the roots are digging deep, the plant is taking hold, and in that unseen process, the foundation is being set for what will one day appear above ground. Your breakthrough is like that. It's buried beneath the surface, in the unseen places of your life, and it's preparing to come forth at just the right time. You might not see it right now, but you can be sure that it's coming. But here's where things get interesting. The breakthrough is often preceded by a shift in perspective. Before you can step into the breakthrough, you have to align yourself with the truth that you are worthy of it, that you are ready for it, and that it's coming whether you see it or not. You see, breakthroughs don't just happen by chance. They are attracted to people who are ready to receive them. When your mindset shifts from one of doubt and uncertainty to one of faith and expectancy, you position yourself to receive what's already coming your way. Sometimes we sabotage our own breakthroughs by holding on to fear, doubt, and limiting beliefs. We think we're not good enough. We think we don't deserve it. Or we think that it's just never going to happen for us. But the moment you let go of those thoughts and shift your focus to the reality that your breakthrough is inevitable, everything changes. The breakthrough is not just something that happens externally. It's an internal shift that takes place in your heart and mind. The truth is, breakthroughs don't come when you expect them to. They don't show up when you've got everything figured out. Breakthroughs come when you least expect them, when you've finally surrendered, when you've let go of control and allowed life to unfold. The more you chase after the breakthrough, the more elusive it becomes. But when you start living with the expectation that it's already on its way, you open yourself to the possibilities. Do you realize how powerful that shift is? When you stop striving and just start trusting, when you start believing that what's meant for you will come in its own time, everything begins to change. Opportunities that were previously hidden start to reveal themselves. Connections that you didn't see before suddenly appear. You begin to see the doors that were always there, but that you couldn't see because you were too focused on your own limitations. But I want to make something clear. Just because the breakthrough is on its way doesn't mean that you're not going to face challenges. The journey toward the breakthrough is often marked by obstacles, detours, and even failures. There will be times when you feel discouraged. There will be moments when you question whether it's worth it. But let me remind you of something. The breakthrough does not come without a price. It requires perseverance. It requires resilience. It requires you to keep moving forward even when the road seems long and uncertain. This is where many people give up. They get so close to the breakthrough, but they stop because they can't see it yet. They can't feel it yet. They lose hope because they can't imagine what's coming next. But I'm here to tell you that the breakthrough is already on its way. And it's closer than you think. The moment you decide that you're not going to give up, the moment you decide that you're going to trust the process, the breakthrough will find its way to you. You may not see it immediately, but it's on its way, preparing to show up at the perfect time. When you trust that the breakthrough is already on its way, you free yourself from the burden of impatience. You stop trying to force things to happen and start allowing them to unfold naturally. And that's when the magic happens. The doors begin to open. The pieces start to fall into place. The relationships you've been waiting for show up. The opportunities arrive. The dream you've been holding on to begins to materialize. But none of this happens if you don't believe that it's coming. Your faith in the process is what activates the breakthrough. When you believe, when you expect, when you step forward in confidence, you give the universe the space to deliver what you've been waiting for. It's not a matter of if the breakthrough will come, it's a matter of when. And when it does come, you'll see that everything you've been through, everything you've worked for, has been preparing you for this moment. You will be ready to step into it. And it will be everything you've dreamed of and more. So hold on, trust, keep moving forward. The breakthrough is already on its way, and it will come when you least expect it, but it will be exactly what you need. Stay open, stay ready, and trust that the best is yet to come.